Hello and welcome to Pokésports Plus, an extra podcast by Pokésports. I'm Mike and I play with one Pokemon on the field.
I'm Kevin. I play with two Pokemon on the field.
And today we are joined by Tanner Greenring and Josh Fjelstad from EXP Share. Welcome, guys, to the podcast.
Hello, thank you. I play with I play with 6 Pokemon. I thought that was what we all did.
But but when they come on the field, you don't put all 6 on the field at the same time.
Yeah, usually just one. Although if I had the option, I would probably put more out.
Tanner just had his first experience, I think, with double battle. With now that we're starting Gen 3.
My dream is to get 6 Tangelas out at the field at the same time. Just seeing all those like little writhing, squirrely, wormy bodies.
God, it's a pile of vines.
This is very big Akira energy that we're getting at the very beginning. Well, welcome to the podcast. It's really cool to have you here. This is it's interesting because I feel like we're very much the same kind of people. We're both old playing Pokemon.
Yes.
Some of us are dads. We're those kind of people. What has kind of your experience coming back into the Pokemon scene been?
So there were a couple of gens that I never fully completed from either like late high school or college, which was probably for the best that I dropped off during college.
Right.
So I never completed Ruby and Sapphire or Diamond Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about where we're going into season 3, which is going to be Gen 3. But overall, the best part has definitely been discovering that like Gen 1 and Gen 2 in particular, still just really hold up. Like the graphics didn't even feel, super. It wasn't like unplayable or something. It's still great.
That's true, but like now that we're in Gen 3, I'm just like, oh man.
Oh yeah.
It turns out the graphics could have been so much better. And here we are, like looking at the better graphics.
Yeah, that's true.
As a kid, I played Pokemon Red and Blue, but that was it. And then I had a 20-year hiatus until Josh and I started playing again. So I'm a newcomer to the Pokemon universe, and I'm learning so much each week. Do you guys know about type matchups?
Never heard of them.
It's, I guess, pretty important. And I've lost a lot of battles against Josh because of something called type matchups. But
I should probably learn about these then.
They're pretty important, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you guys are doing competitive
It's
Pokemon
like a
stuff.
secret.
That's interesting. I mean, so whose idea was it to start this whole thing then? You came off of a 20-year hiatus. Were you like, oh, I want to play Pokemon again? Or was that more of a Josh thing?
Josh has always been a huge Pokemon fan, and I've like dabbled in some recent Pokemon games, but it was really just Josh. Josh twisted my arm.
Yeah, Tanner had always been circling around with like maybe he should have a third podcast, right?
Yeah.
And I don't remember at this point what the original impetus was. I think it had to do with, I mean, it was last year. We were talking about it for a few months. So it was around like when Sword and Shield was going to be released later in the year. And it seemed like I was just thinking about like that new game and all the times that I had previously. And I have played like Omega Ruby, Black White 2. So I've still been involved, but I was playing them more casually. And it seemed like a good time to kind of just like go back to the beginning. Now that it was like going to this full console version, which was something as a kid that I like never dreamed would actually happen.
What are you talking about, man?
So that was part of it.
We played through all of Pokemon Snap. That was a console version of a Pokemon game.
Well, true, but I mean, like as a proper, like the normal gameplay. Because I played Let's Go Pikachu. I think Tanner, you also played Eevee or maybe Pikachu also. But I was still like, I enjoyed it, but I was still ultimately, a little disappointed because of the Pokemon Go style catching Pokemon.
Yeah, and that was a big thing that a lot of people were saying too, is just that it was such a different game from what they thought it would be, especially for the first game that came on the Switch. Like they really expected the Switch version of Pokemon to be something really cool because we've been waiting for a home console version for so long, and then when it finally came, now you're just all it is you're holding your Joy-Cons and you're like, Get this one.
exactly.
Get that one.
I play mostly in handheld mode when I'm playing my Switch too.
Yeah.
So it's like it was very aggravating for me to have to like pretend to throw my controller around constantly.
Yeah, it still did. That was part of my problem too, because even with the great, I mean, especially comparatively graphics, at this point, it still feels like a handheld game to me. Like a handheld series, I guess. And I think part of that is, like Tanner and I were talking about this too with Gen 3, the graphics, like the models just feel so robust. Like they have so much detail, and I still feel like even though the environments do on the new games like Sword and Shield, the Pokemon are not, the models are not always as like detailed, other than like
That's true.
the Dynamax, Gigantamax, like those models kind of get they have more going on, but I think like the condensed version still feels like more full or something.
Yeah, I feel like you get snippets of a robust game feel when a Pokemon uses like their signature move, like Darkest Lariat. When an Incineroar uses a Darkest Lariat, that animates the Pokemon to no end. If you haven't heard of Darkest Lariat yet, I don't blame you, but it's a fantastic move that the 3D uses very, very well, and the 2.5D uses very, very well. The best part about it is that people took that animation, because to break it down a little bit, the animation is basically the Pokemon spins around a bunch and like goes toward the other Pokemon to attack it. But there are people who took that animation and slapped that on every single other Pokemon, which to have a Wailord go and spin around like that when it really should not be is a thing of beauty. And I highly recommend everybody to watch that.
Not only have I not heard of Darkest Lariat, I've never even heard of Incineroar. So I feel like I've got so much to learn.
Incineroar's like the bane of every competitive player. It's just such a good Pokemon. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Is it that muscly
I
cat?
hate it in Super Smash Brothers too.
It's a muscly cat.
Yes.
That is like
Muscly
the
cat.
third gen of one of the starters.
Very good. That's right. I'm
I
incredibly
spent some
impressed.
time on Fur Affinity. I'm familiar with Incineroar.
I can't even imagine the kind of content they got of Incineroar.
We almost went 10 minutes. We almost went 10 minutes without mentioning that.
It's always kind of top of mind for Tim.
That's fair. So your mission right now in EXP Share is to go through each of the Pokemon games, starting from Pokemon Red, going all the way to, I assume, Sword and Shield.
Yeah. And, beyond.
About how long do you think this whole thing is going to take?
Yeah.
Well,
we debate that. Yeah.
some of the games seem to have, like, we just finished Gen 2,
Right.
Silver and Gold, and it had a lot more gyms than Gen 1.
That's true.
So it took us a little while longer to get through that one. But
Double
now that
the
we're back
episodes.
on Ruby and Sapphire, we're back down to 8 gyms plus the Elite Four. So we'll bang it out in 10 eps, right?
Yeah, I think it's generally speaking 9 to 10 episodes gen or a season. That being said, the post games get longer and more elaborate, that might change. And we always kind of the new thing that we're doing now in particular is we are doing interstitial episodes of games that are from the same generation. So to kind of extend it, and then also just because we're curious about them, like Tanner mentioned, we've done Pokemon Snap for Gen 1, and we actually just closed out the Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy Color as well for Gen 2.
It was so cool to listen to, just going back on Pokemon trading card game and listening to all of the gyms back then, and the music, by the way, oh my gosh,
it's so good.
Pokemon
Yeah, the
trading
music
card
is so
game
good.
music is insanely good.
And then I think we also have like a plan to, when we reach the like remakes, like Soul Silver and Heart Gold and stuff like that, we'll probably do, what's it called, Josh?
Nuzlocke. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, have
Just
you
to,
guys
just to make it a little more interesting?
Yeah, that we found that out like casually. So I guess so for your listeners, you're both familiar. We play. We're competitive for sure, but we do not play like at anywhere near the level y'all do. Which is partially not like not because of disinterest,
Right.
but just because the format of the show also kind of like forces us to need to just make it to the next gym. We do get teams that we enjoy, but our seasons are back to back. So even so to actually go to level 100 and build like an actual competitive team, we would need to do it on the side.
That's true.
But we did discover Nuzlocke as a playstyle, like coincidentally through this, and yeah, I think we're gonna do that. For
That's
those
awesome.
remakes. I have either of you ever done Nuzlocke too?
Absolutely. And I think Kevin, you can probably explain what a Nuzlocke is pretty concisely, right?
So yeah, it's I think the biggest thing about Nuzlocke is just like once your Pokemon go down, they're down. So it's treated as a death in general. So that gets a lot harder, especially if you because the whole premise of a Nuzlocke is to nickname all those Pokemon, so you actually build an attachment to them.
Oh yeah.
So that the knockout actually matters a lot, personally. I think what else is a Nuzlocke?
Well, there are different versions of it, right? There's the option to not go into any Pokemon centers. There's the option to not go into any marts and only use the resources that the land provides. So,
that's great.
Potions that you find or potions that you can use, but you can't go into the mart and use your money to buy them. You're basically a hoarder in that respect.
And something about like you only get to catch one Pokemon per
That's right.
Like
region
route.
or something.
Yeah,
like
per
that?
location.
Yeah, I think for like route or like area that you enter.
Yeah. Like you can fight as many Pokemon as you physically want to, but you can only catch the first one that you see in the route. And if you fail to catch that one, then that's done. You can't get another one.
Here's a question I have for the Pokemon experts, which is all of you. I have a new Pokemon on my Gen 3 team called Nuzleaf. Is Nuzlocke named after Nuzleaf?
That's interesting.
Where does the word
Oh
Nuzlocke?
gosh,
That's
I
a good question.
Hold on.
I haven't looked this up in a long time, but you are correct. I just don't know how.
Oh, really?
And I want to figure this out right
I just
now.
googled Nuzlocke etymology. Let's see what happens.
Oh, good.
Excellent.
That's the right keyword.
Excellent verbiage.
The guys at Harvard will come back with an answer.
It says, because the person who created it uses Nuzlocke as their internet handle. It started in 4chan years ago. So it's named after whoever created it.
Apparently, it's a combination of Nuzleaf and Lock. That's what the internet says.
Like from Lost? I was going to say, like, is this
Lost,
a
correct.
Nuzleaf and then Lost fan?
Absolutely. We have confirmed the etymology of Nuzlocke through
I wonder
Lost.
how the creator
Very
feels
good.
now that everyone just kind of took his idea and made it their own.
Well, probably pretty sad that you couldn't collect any royalties off of that one.
Yeah, right.
That's something I'd want to trademark.
We're all a little sad that we can't collect royalties off of
I mean,
Game Freak and Nintendo.
now we're getting inside baseball. Here we go.
We had so many debates before we launched. So, because our show launched it's pretty similar time frame to
I think
y'all.
like same week.
Yeah.
Same week.
And I don't know about you, but we definitely had like multiple conversations where we were like, what can we get away with on this art?
We all laugh because we know what it feels like.
Because we worked with an illustrator, Gareth Johnson, who made Ken Sujimori style illustrations of both of us. Probably, very generous. We look. He was very generous to us.
Your Twitter handle.
But and then we've got like a parody of like the Game Boy box art, but we were like, it's funny that I think we're playing around with this for Gen 3 actually, that we might introduce like a Pokeball onto the art. Because we noticed, I mean, Pokésports obviously, and then most of the shows in the who also
in the
cover
Pokemon category,
got the balls on there, and it's interesting that it's like, I mean, for Nintendo, I would always hope. I mean, for any like fan show, I would always hope that the company is like, oh, this is great for us, like it's free promo basically. But you never really know.
Oh, and especially how often we go to foraffinity.net. I just feel like they would really hate it.
We shot our chances of ever getting sponsored by Nintendo, I think, for sure.
Correct. I will say that you foraffinity.net, man. I will say that it's been a long uphill battle with Game Freak and Nintendo that spans like way before even the four of us got started with anything. I know Kevin and I, we've been making Pokemon content for the past X amount of years, like probably coming up on a decade now, on and off. This being like the first time that both of us kind of came together and made something together. And one of the things that we found is that Nintendo has a very stern iron grip on their IP.
Interesting.
They do not like it when you make things that tread on their territory. But they've kind of eased up on that as YouTube became a little bit more mainstream, and as that kind of became the only consuming medium. Now they don't really get too down on you for using a circle with two different colors on it. Right?
Great. That's good to know. Because
so you should be okay.
Yeah. It's always, I mean,
funny.
Nintendo has been my historical, other than like Blizzard, I guess, which is a different beast because it's a different platform most of the time. Nintendo is like historically my favorite gaming company. So it's been fascinating to watch them. They're always like very innovative, but then in some ways, you know, like how long it took them to start doing online multiplayer and to open up a game like Zelda with Breath of the Wild. Obviously then of course, Let's Go and Sword and Shield. But it's also great where they they're very innovative with the hardware, I guess, is what I should be saying. And then the software takes them longer, but then once they get there, they come out swinging. Where like those games are so great.
Well, I think that Nintendo did a very good job making their systems. Even all the way from Wii U, GameCube, N64, all of those, Switch, great. I think Game Freak in particular is the one that's a little slow on the uptake. They don't really use all of the hardware's specifications to its highest capacity. I don't know who developed Breath of the Wild actually.
I don't want to name drop, but I've actually met the Game Freak team.
You met the Game Freak?
Yeah, he was at the top of a tower in Celadon City.
Oh man,
nice guy. Gave me an EV.
Surprisingly lax.
Cool.
Just kind of let anyone in.
Yeah,
nice dude.
I think I've actually been there too. Did you grab an EV?
Yeah, got an EV. Turned into a Vaporeon. Yeah,
they told me that was the only one.
The last of its
the last of its kind. I thought it was the last of its kind.
Yeah, that reminds. I don't know if this is already a thing. Tanner, I think at some point, well, one of us, we've flirted with the idea of also doing once there are enough, which I think will be the next gen, an all evolutions playthrough.
Beautiful.
As well.
Ooh.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, Kevin, you said about the Nuzlocke run, like you name all your Pokemon and you become very attached to them. But Josh and I already do that each game. So
that's
we
like
already
a
become attached.
Big debate. I get stressed going into the new season when we have to figure that out.
Okay, then here's the next question. Out of your 2 playthroughs so far, and I guess you can include the one you're doing now, what is your favorite Pokemon?
Well, I know who my favorite like overall Pokemon is, but of the specific teams,
it's so your answer is so basic to what's your favorite Pokemon.
I know. So that's why I'm not going to dwell on that. It's Mewtwo.
Oh, of course. Okay.
I'm trying to remember the name. So when we played Pokemon Red and Blue, I had a character named Mr. Squirt, and his whole thing was that he only used water type Pokemon.
Well, then.
And
I get it.
Yeah, in the style of all of the, gym leaders, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So it's less your favorite Pokemon and more your favorite trainer.
Well, no, I mean, playing as Mr. Squirt, obviously, inhabiting that role and kind of getting into that mind space was great. But I did have a favorite Pokemon on his team. I'm just trying to remember the dang name of the thing. Celeste.
Yeah.
Celeste.
I had a beautiful Cloyster called Celeste that had 2 moves that I loved called Toxic and I want to say Pinch, but I know that's not right. Clamp.
Pinch is so much better, though.
Wait.
I would toxic someone and then just clamp them until they died, and I loved that.
Why have
and that was
I
my
never heard of
favorite.
the move clamp?
I think that was a move that was taken out pretty later on.
Oh yeah, it was taken out. That's why. It was a signature move of Shelder and Cloyster prior to Gen 3.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Oh.
And then they didn't replace it with anything.
No.
So Cloyster just didn't get a signature move from Gen 4 onward.
Cloyster's not much to look at, I'll admit,
No.
but
No. I was pretty impressed with that Cloyster as well. It was not a Pokemon I'd ever considered before.
Mhm.
I guess similarly, now that I'm thinking about, so if I distance myself from Mewtwo, which is more of an emotional thing, historical connection, I think I was most impressed with Scyther Caesar so far.
Oh, okay.
Ugh.
I never
I hated your
really,
Caesar.
Yeah, Tanner especially did not like that one. Ryan Atwood. I named my Pokemon in the last gen after the OC characters.
Right.
One of my favorite shows. And yeah, Caesar, which took forever to finally get because we had to meet up, socially distance and trade, which took a while to coordinate, of course.
It's hard to get a link cable that long.
Yeah, we were
6-foot
playing
cable.
on DS, so we could at least use its wireless capability.
Right.
But I had never really. I'd always thought Scyther had a cool design, but I had never messed around with one before. And the super clean, just swords dance / setup, and then Caesar's like swords dance, steel wing, or what I did in this Gen 2 playthrough is I got I went through a bunch of hidden powers until I got him to have hidden power bug.
Right.
Because Tanner had an SB on, and I needed to have some way of dealing with psychic, and all the bug moves in that gen are so bad.
Right.
But I was he multiple times just like swept battles.
well, that's because I'm bad at poke.
You're not that bad. Getting there.
Okay, let's have a test. What is water weak to?
That's for you, Tanner.
Plants.
That's
Gra-
actually
grass.
very good. Yeah.
Grass type.
Yes.
Grass.
Plant type Pokemon, yeah.
Plants. The
All right,
plant
but
type.
And
there are
maybe
other things.
lightning?
Oh, also very good.
Is that right?
Yes, that is.
Yeah, only two.
Is that really the only
That's
two?
really the only two.
Dang, I'm
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
I did play an entire water type team though for the entire first game.
I mean,
so.
you do get to learn a thing or two about water type by being Mr. Squirt.
You got that one, yeah. Wait until you deal with like fairy, man.
Oh,
Can I guess what's good against fairy?
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Dragon.
Nope.
You could not be more wrong.
Fairy's actually immune.
It's the opposite.
Fairy's immune to
I guess
dragon.
they both seemed like they were from like fairy tales, and I thought like if anything,
Yeah.
like dragons eat fairies, not the other way around.
I mean, you'd
so.
think. That's what we all thought as well.
I've kind of assumed, and I don't know if that was admitted, I kind of assumed fairy was partially introduced as a check
100%.
on dragon.
100%. Dragons were getting
Yeah,
dragons were getting
OP.
too crazy, and people were getting a little more competitive. So they didn't want to keep dragon types in the game. So they introduced fairies. So actually, one of the reasons that Kevin asked that incredibly easy question, that incredibly low hanging fruit, was so that we could ask one that was a little bit more in depth. What we want to do is we want to talk about some of the Pokemon that you played with and you competed against each other with, and we want to kind of compare and contrast as to how those Pokemon still stack up today. Because there's still some Pokemon that competitive is just always loved, like Charizard, getting evolution after evolution in different ways, and being the thing that it is. I don't like Charizard right now. I'm very upset with Charizard.
Right.
Charizard can just go and sit in the corner,
It's
please.
a little strong right now.
But when we come back from our break, we're going to do exactly that. We're going to talk about some of the Pokemon that were good back in the day and then are also good today, or not good today. We'll see. We'll do that when we come back. Welcome back to Pokésports Plus and our conversation with EXP Share. Before we took our little break, we were talking about how we're going to be looking at Pokemon that were relevant in Gen 1, 2, 3. Well, not even 3, but you can talk about 3 too. And we wanted to see kind of how they stack up now with Kevin and our experience. So let's talk with Josh and Tanner. Let's see what they have to say. Guys, what Pokemon do you think were the most competitively relevant in your playthroughs?
That is a good question. I handicap myself with my characters and my playthroughs by picking some dumb shtick and doing that. So
yeah, definitely.
I feel like in Gen 1 I was all water type Pokemon, so I only had a few Pokemon to choose from, but I feel like the most relevant one and the one that did the most damage to Josh, or the two I would say that did the most damage to Josh, were Slowbro and Gyarados.
Slowbro and Gyarados.
That makes sense.
You'd agree with that?
I assume that, yeah. Gyarados has always been a terror. I mean, I usually had one in my playthroughs growing up.
Okay, and so Kevin, let's talk about that. Slowbro and Gyarados. How do you see those two Pokemon now?
Competitively speaking, Gyarados is probably one of the best water types in the game.
Oh my
competitively speaking.
Yeah. No, there you go.
Recently, Gyarados actually got access to a grass type move, so it can actually hit other water types without being walled by them. So I think that was the biggest change this generation that made Gyarados super relevant.
And what move is that?
Power Whip.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
They've been changing up Gyarados in lots of different ways over the past couple of generations, actually, to make him relevant in pretty much every situation. This gen, of course, Kevin mentioned he gets a Power Whip, but also in the last gen, he got a Mega Form.
Oh, yeah.
And Mega Gyarados was insane.
I love the
Big
design too.
It's a big pistol shrimp.
Yeah.
It's a big pistol shrimp. I had to look that up. So Oberon is the name of a character in Midsummer Night's Dream. Is that correct?
Yeah, all my characters were named after were given French names for some reason during Gen 1. I don't really know why.
Yeah, you did that, and then I studied and still like casually study like British history and contemporary politics. And I think once he did that, I was like, oh, all right, like then I'm gonna do British people.
Yeah,
the Great British Pokemon Show.
It was the War of the
But I don't know why
channel.
Why France? Where it came from.
I don't know either.
It
just felt right.
It just felt right.
I mean, I feel like your Slowbro had a great name. Wasn't that like Toulouse?
Oh,
I love that.
Toulouse, yeah.
That was nice.
Kevin, how's Slowbro stack up these days?
Slowbro's not in the game, but
yet,
yeah, it will be once the DLC drops. But in
Actually, he's
past
getting a new form.
generations, Galarian Slowbro. In past generations, it was actually pretty decent. It wasn't like top tier, but you can get away with it. You wouldn't get destroyed if you used it. And actually did get a Mega Form too, which is just the tail consuming it, essentially.
That the thing they say is a
Shelter.
Yeah.
Just consumes its whole body, essentially.
It gets bigger, and the only thing you can see are like a Slowbro and its tiny little arms. The rest of it's just shell. It's all shell, baby. Shell all the way down. All right. And so Mr. Squirt's team of Slowbro and Cloyster, I would say actually would still hold up as of last gen. Last gen, when you had a Cloyster come out with, I guess, Icicle Spear and Skill Link, its ability that, I mean, you'll know all about in Gen, I think is 4.
No, it's 3.
Yeah, 3.
Right now.
Tanner just encountered the abilities for the first time.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited for
fascinated
you.
by them.
They've like totally changed up how Pokemon works. Cloyster is actually very, very relevant with Skill Link. In singles battles, it's pretty much a Pokemon that can sweep very, very easily. You just set up a little bit of Shell Smash to increase attack and speed, lower your defense, but that doesn't matter. And then just pew pew pew, hit them with some ice, and they go down.
My other 3, in case they're at all relevant, and you guys tell me, are Blastoise, Starmie, and Poliwrath.
No, neither of those.
Not even Blastoise.
No,
Okay.
Blastoise actually. Blastoise was kind
Blastoise
of
is okay.
yeah.
Poliwrath is my favorite Pokemon, so I was really hoping he would be somehow relevant, but
It's not, but no, you can
he
actually.
looks cool. He's got funny little gloves.
That's true. I mean, people have
Yeah.
used Politoed. That's a very good rain setter.
Oh, we'll get to Politoed when we get to Gen 2.
Politoed was a problem for me.
Oh no. Why's that?
I had a Politoed in my Gen 2 team, and it was
Yeah.
the bane of Josh's existence.
Really?
It's a good Pokemon.
All right. It is a good Pokemon.
Also not in the game.
Yeah. Poliwrath actually there is a set or two that makes Poliwrath kind of relevant in singles. Poliwrath is one of those Pokemon that has access to Belly Drum, which is a move which cuts your HP in half. However, increases your attack all the way that it can go. So you can increase your attack up to 6 times, which increases 4 times your attack stat. So once you've set up with a Belly Drum, you can basically just one shot any Pokemon on the other side of the field.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use it. Let's go to Josh. Josh, what Pokemon have been relevant for you?
For Gen 1, is that what we're going to do?
Sure, let's do that. We'll start with that.
I think, well, I know one of them was Tanner's bane of existence, and that was Raichu.
It's these type matchups I'm hearing so much about.
I see.
Yeah, I mean,
true.
obviously, Raichu versus an all-water team was a disaster.
How much did your Gyarados like that Raichu, Tanner?
It would be like I would peel a couple of Pokemon off of Josh when we were fighting, and then he would get frustrated and pull out his Raichu and just like one hit my entire team.
Yeah, I had a
Okay.
Jolteon briefly too, because I was like, "Oh, he's all water.
2
Like, I
electric
gotta
types.
have 2 electric," and then it was like, "Oh, this is a waste of space to have 2 electric here." And I know in Gen 1 Jolteon's got better stats, but I like Raichu's move sets a little bit more, and design. It's aesthetics as well. But I would say Raichu, and then what else did I have? I had Machamp, Charizard, Alakazam, Vileplume, and Dragonite.
I mean, your
Mhm.
Alakazam was kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I'm more curious about Alakazam, because I think, like, I guess Machamp is a little interesting to me as well, but like Charizard, I get it. Is always kind of
Mhm.
up there.
Don't say Machamp is interesting to you. It sounds
Well,
gross.
more not aesthetically. No. Don't take that line too.
Don't take that one out of context.
I think more of just like I guess Alakazam would be my main question, but any of those, if they jump out, I think are kind of interested in.
Kevin, what do you think?
Machamp is possible. It's not popular because there's a Pokemon called Conkeldurr that just does what Machamp does, but better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you can get away with Machamp.
I was into
Alakazam?
Conkeldurr in when is he introduced? Black and White, I think.
I think so, Gen
Yeah.
5.
I had one on my team.
Mhm.
It's the style of, like, if I'm having a fighting type or like a brawler, I like that archetype.
Mhm.
Those two.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
like him. I'm looking at a picture of him. I like his little like stone pillars.
Yes,
He's
2
cool.
cinder
Yeah,
blocks.
I think the line is interesting in general. The first
Yeah.
one's got like a girder, right? And its name is
Mhm.
Girder. It's
His name is Girder. Yeah. The first one, by the way, his name is Timber.
And he
So,
has a log.
he has
That's
a
right.
lot.
Yeah,
In terms of Alakazam does so much damage.
Alakazam's
so
been insane
still up
Yeah.
since the
there.
moment it came. Yeah.
Is it still playstyle basically glass cannon?
Same with Raichu,
yeah.
actually.
Okay, yeah.
just focus sash and do damage.
Yeah. Well,
Do any of them have like the big fancy Gigamax or whatever they're
Oh,
called?
Gigantamax.
They turn into like
Pikachu does, not Raichu.
yeah. Because, of course, they've just got to keep giving that little rat everything.
Right.
Uh,
I
but
also
no, they,
resent that. I always have liked Raichu more. Alolan Raichu I'm definitely going to have when we
yes.
get there.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Alolan Raichu's great.
Psychic Electric are my 2 favorite types, and I made a deck when we were playing trading card game that was that
Mhm.
combo.
You know what's funny? Alolan Raichu is essentially Alakazam and Raichu. Now that I think about it,
Oh yeah.
they're both relatively the same kind of stats. Just mix their kits together, and you've got Alolan Raichu.
Fast psychic electric.
Why is Alolan Raichu psychic?
Just
You know,
No one
You
really
know,
knows.
that's how they do it out there.
that's just how they do it in Hawaii.
It floats around on its tail. It's so festive. I love it.
It's very festive.
How is Alolan Vulpix? Alolan Vulpix is an ice type. How does that happen?
How
Yeah.
does that work?
Becomes the exact
Just
opposite.
remove everything about a Pokemon and give it the exact opposite.
I don't know what the rhyme or reason is, but I do like the regional variant. I think that was a
Yes.
good idea that they did it,
Mhm.
even if
I'm
some of them are.
I'm happy that they kept it.
Yeah.
I'm happy that they kept it for other games to say like, oh, this one's Alolan, but this one's Galarian.
Right.
Those are the British ones?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like they just put top hats on all of them?
Yes.
You have the Hawaiian ones and
The
the British
British
ones.
Yeah, the top hatted Wheezing, which that one's a little over the top, but
No
I
pun
do.
intended.
I think this. I mean, they all are.
Yeah.
But Surfetched, I had fun with when I haven't played it like competitively, but I did play it. I played Sword.
Mhm.
Mhm. Surfetch is great. Yeah.
And then Dragonite as well was another one.
Oh,
that
really
was,
good.
Very, very good.
Really
Always
good.
has been good. Just stood the test of time until it didn't. Until it wasn't allowed in Sword and Shield. So
Yeah, and that's another thing where I mean we're kind of talking about that anyway, but it's like
Yeah.
really you're making like very explicitly a Great Britain modeled area, and then you cut like Dragonite, you cut the like dragon like fairy
Yeah.
tale kind of a thing. We were talking about Poliwrath and Politoed. They got a bunch of pawns like. What? No frogs? Like some of it doesn't make any sense. And you
No,
put
we
a
don't have
top
those
hat on
here.
Wheezing? Come on.
you put a top hat on Wheezing, but you couldn't add
Like,
a
you
frog.
you bring back Wheezing and you don't put Dragonite in this? Like
Right.
Dragonair looks like a Loch Ness monster.
Josh has to
Yeah.
work for the creative department at Game Freak instead. Help them out a little bit.
Yeah.
Aurorus is the actual Loch Ness monster on feet.
Oh yeah, man.
They
Totally.
didn't bring that one in. And that is what we call in the industry Dexit.
Oh yeah.
But it's not what we call here. On Pokésports, Dexit is a super fun new game that's sweeping the nation, folks. It is the game that we are now going to play because you have segued into it properly and
Oh, wow.
perfectly. Couldn't have asked you to do it any way better. Dexit is a game that has very, very simple rules. We are going to tell you guys a Pokedex entry based off of context clues and what it says. We would like you to try and guess which Pokemon that we're
right.
describing.
Okay. Rule clarification question.
Go ahead.
Are you going to stick to Gen 1 and 2? Because it's the only two games I've played.
I am going to stick to Gen 1 and 2, but I'm also going to throw in a Gen 3.
Excellent. All right.
Okay.
We'll see if you can do it. I've tried to make it as user-friendly as possible. So
Okay.
even the Gen 3, as long as you have maybe heard of these kind of Pokemon, you should be able to get it. All right.
Let's do it.
The first one. Well, I'll actually give you a little bit of a hint here that we are starting with Gen 1. So
Do we buzz
Gen
in?
1. You can absolutely buzz in. Yes, you can.
Okay.
Okay.
Should I open up my
Here
air
we go,
horn
folks.
app? No.
Everybody get your air horn apps ready. We all have them on our phones. The Dexit entry is its best attack involves flying around at high speed, striking with poison needles, then flying off.
Oh my god.
Ah.
Buzz.
Oh, okay,
Wait.
Josh.
I'm trying to see if I do think air horn or that like I do still have it. All right, great. I think it was like my first app, like
course.
when the iPhone came out and it was like the beer drinking
The beer-
one that
yep.
would like change
Oh, yeah.
and then
And like the
air horn.
ocarina.
You had the air horn, and then
Yeah.
eventually you had the one where like you toss the paper into the garbage can.
Oh yeah.
Fruit Ninja.
Yeah.
That one.
No, but yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So
Okay. And did it say from above or was it just attacks at high
it just
speed?
it flies around
my
at high
one thing.
speed, striking with poison needles, then flying off.
Okay. Beedrill?
Oh, very, very good. I should like build that up a little bit, being like, do do do. Yes.
Is that correct?
That's
correct.
That is correct. Yeah. Did you have a different thought?
I was gonna say Spearow, but I know that's not right.
Spearow.
You
That
know,
would be cool.
that would be deadly.
That would make that line more interesting.
That would make Kanto a terrible place to live. If you can just have birds that can fly around and
That would
poison
make
you.
that would make the first
whatever.
episode of the anime very
Poison
different.
talons.
The first episode.
That would be cool. Spiro Firo, that's a trash line, right?
Correct.
Ugh, trash.
Yeah.
It looked like garbage too.
Correct.
They couldn't have designed uglier Pokemon.
We've got Firo fans out there
No.
that are going to be coming for you after this.
Well,
we're
wrong.
familiar.
We're
We've gotten
familiar.
At me, Firo fans. At Greenring on Twitter. I'll take you on. I don't care.
we got a couple of comments defending Dunsparce once. And
Oh,
we're like,
it's so
come on, we
gross.
thought that was a freebie.
No.
Like,
No one's supposed to like that Pokemon. It was made to be
No.
hated.
It was made to be hated.
it's like always looks like it's like gotten a half like decomposing body, like that it just consumed and it's
Right.
permanently closed eyes.
And it became a
Disgusting.
part of it. Yes.
Yes.
So that was Gen 1. Let's move on to Gen 2. Gen 2. Our Pokedex entry is when the stars flicker in the night sky, it flutters about, scattering a glowing powder.
Buzz.
Oh, all right. Tanner. Did I just get the name wrong?
Reconsidering his answer.
There's a moth one, right?
Oh, there is a moth one. I'll say it again. When the stars flicker in the night sky, it flutters about, scattering a glowing powder.
Dang, what is that moth called, Josh?
Tough. I mean, Venomoth.
Venomoth.
I'm not saying that's my guess. I'm giving you the
Venomoth is my
Mhm.
guess.
Venomoth is not the Gen 2 Pokemon. Venomoth is actually from Gen 1. I'll give you another one.
Oh, it has to be from Gen 2.
It has to be. This
not-
one is from Gen 2, so
Okay.
it's going to be
Mhm.
from Gold and Silver.
Okay.
In the daytime when it
That's
gets
tough.
warm, how about this one? In the daytime when it gets warm, this is the same Pokemon. It curls up inside a big leaf and drifts off into a deep slumber. I don't think that one actually helps very much.
Buzz.
Oh, okay, yes.
Celebi.
Oh, very good, but no.
Very good, but
I am
wrong.
That is pretty
Very
good. It
impressed.
does always have a sparkly
Mhm.
energy.
That's one of those Pokemon where I'm like, yeah, that could actually probably have that
You
kind
guys-
of description.
If you guys are hitting a wall here, we could always give you a typing if that helps.
Mm.
The Pokemon's type.
Can you read the two clues
Yeah,
very quickly
okay.
again?
Well, actually, yeah. Let's
Yeah,
let's look at this. Let's see if you can guess the type of Pokemon that it is. When the stars flicker in the night sky. Actually, let's give you another one. The star patterns on its back grow larger or smaller depending on the number of stars in the night sky.
Star patterns on its back.
Mm.
Oh, Ledian?
Whoa.
Very good.
What?
Ledian is
Okay.
the right
I've
answer.
never even heard of this Pokemon.
Have you heard of Leddyba?
And it's Ledian. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
lady.
remember you were into that Mon, but you couldn't get it in
Couldn't
in
get it because
gold.
I played gold.
Oh, true.
Unfair advantage.
Wow, that was such an unfair advantage.
That's tough though. I actually had never thought about it as like a nocturnal
Yeah.
Mon,
Yeah, that's right.
which is what that implies.
Tanner, it's
Pretty
fine.
much.
Ledian's stats are not worth getting anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is not.
That
That can't
Not
be.
even close. No.
that one you get because you like ladybugs or something. There's like no good reason for you to get that.
I do. Speaking of the kind of like beetle class
Mhm.
though, and you were talking about Orbeetle in the episode from this last week.
Yes.
Orbeetle I had on my team. I
Nice.
enjoyed Orbeetle greatly. I was like, oh, this makes somebody finally like psychic bug. Like, come on,
Mm-hmm.
like nailed it.
That's what I'm saying too.
Oh, I just googled it. It looks like trash though.
Well,
It looks a little, yeah, it's a little creepy.
Sucks to look at.
it's not a looker, but it's a good bug.
Oh, woof. Is this his entire evolutionary line? They all suck.
They all look very weird.
The first one is pretty rough.
Yeah.
I think Bug is one of the more interesting lines. It's almost like it metamorphosed. Looking at like how bad and like singular they were in the beginning, and then how interesting they get. I always liked Volcarona as well. Heracross, I feel like, was the first one that kind of like put them on the map in Gen 2.
I like Heracross. Heracross seems like a fun guy.
Heracross made bugs good. Yeah, I think people realized after that they're like, oh, these can be pretty cool. Let's focus on these a little bit more. And then they made things like Vikavolt.
How's Vikavolt? Because I had one also in Sword.
It's very slow. It's very, very slow. So if you use it with a kind of a trick room team where you flip the speeds, then it's somewhat viable. But even then, it's kind of not too great.
Yeah, I didn't get. It was pretty like niche uses because it's not obviously it doesn't have great defense HP.
That's right.
And it's kind of like you got to fling it out when you need to deal with a very specific problem.
Yeah. That's it. Is just it fills a role that you not often need to fill, but you can do it if you want to. Let's move on to Gen 3, the newest gen in your arsenal, Tanner. This Pokemon, when it hears festive music, all the cells in its body become stimulated and it begins moving in rhythm. It does not quail even when it faces a tough opponent. That last line didn't need to be there.
Buzz.
Festive.
Oh, Tanner, yes.
Is it that ugly Pokemon you're using, Josh? The one that has uproar?
Yeah, we have a
Whismer.
Whismer.
A Whismer.
I don't think it's a dancer though.
Whismer's more of a yeller.
A Whismer is a yeller. Whismer is not the answer, but good guess in that it's a very musical kind of Pokemon. But Gen 3 has a couple of those, I guess.
Is it Ludicolo?
Ludicolo, and I need to build up a little bit of anticipation here, is actually the correct answer.
Ugh, also
congratulations.
But that's also I'm building it. I have a
Lotad
currently.
Oh, so it is that ugly Pokemon you have.
Do you guys like play one plays Ruby, one plays Sapphire?
Yeah. And this will presumably come out after season 3 launches, so I can say so in Gen 2 Tanner was beholden to play with Pokemon that I selected. Joshy's Sweeties is one of the segments on our show where I always highlight a Pokemon from that leg of the journey that I was like inspired by, whether it's cute or cool,
particularly attractive.
Yeah, or in the cases of like Dragonair, where it's like, wow, that's just a looker.
So we switched it up for Gen 3, and I went through the entire first 3 gens of Pokemon and designated the ones that I thought were disgusting and made me want to barf. And that is who Josh is playing with this season.
It's
so
really
Ludicolo's on that list.
Some of them, and it's
Whismer's
purely
on that
like
list.
some of them happen to be extremely good. Like I know historically, and I again I don't know currently, but like I know Metagross is good in that gen, and Metagross is on my list, and I probably will have one. Because I also like Psychic, and Psychic Steel's interesting.
Oh yeah.
But more like Metagross, am I right?
Yeah, it's not much to look at, and currently because we just started, like it's really rough. It's like a Whismer. I got what's the second Lombre. I got Lombre. That just evolved. Spoiler, Tanner.
Lombre.
And
what a good name.
It's rough. I like my Pokemon to look good and pack a punch. And
look good
this is
and
a
be
learning
good
experience for me, where I have to choose, especially in the beginning.
It's humbling.
It's humbling. Yeah, I would say it's humbling.
Yeah,
very humbling experience.
So Ludicolo, we'll see how long if I make it that far with that line. More top of mind.
I could probably use your guys' experience, your guys' expertise, because my whole setup for Gen 3 is my character's called Mini Max, and what she does is just like only use S and A tier Pokemon.
Oh,
Mini Max is a very good name for that exact situation.
So like I've got a Ralts, I've got a whatever the second Mudkip is called.
Swampert.
Marsh Stomp.
Marsh
Yeah.
Stomp, that's right.
Marsh Stomp. I'm gonna get one of these. I've got a Nincada who's gonna turn into 2 different Pokemon.
Yeah, 2 for the price of.
Gonna use them both because apparently they're both good. So
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up for a very interesting end game.
Okay.
Based on what you're talking about right now, I think the thing that's going to surprise you the most is what comes out of the Nincada. Actually, I'm pretty sure Shedinja is going to be one of the MVPs on your team.
Shedinja is the one I'm most excited about.
Yeah,
It looks cool. It's Ghost Bug, which feels wild to me.
yeah,
It's exotic.
So I'm looking forward to that. And of course, I got this Gardevoir, who apparently it's a Ralts now, but I'm gonna fall in love with this Gardevoir.
You're gonna marry it. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what's
Marry my Game Boy.
all right. And with that, we're going to put an end to all of this and call this a day. Guys, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people find you and the things that you make?
We're everywhere you catch your podcasts.
EXPSharePod.com and EXPSharePod on all the social media networks. Twitter, Instagram, Twitch.
You guys are streaming more now, right?
Well, we were until
Yeah.
the
We're
internet
trying.
died in Brooklyn, but we do battle on Pokemon Showdown a few times this season, and we try to stream those.
Very cool.
Yeah, we generally what we're trying to do at least is to battle every 4 gyms, which kind of works out as like midway through the game, end of the game, and then we throw in one after the Elite Four as well. We've run into different, aside from the fact that we're just like, mid 30s like idiots. We can't figure out. We've had technical difficulties either because of our own ineptitude or because of strain to the overall like grid in Brooklyn. But we do try to stream.
Well, there you go.
Probably have to get some tips from y'all.
Happy to help. Yeah.
You've got much better cameras here. You got whole setups. We're working on that.
We've got a whole master ball on the ground over there. We're good.
Oh, is that a plush?
Yes, actually.
I got that. I have that master ball plush. As
Oh,
well.
there you go. Hey,
So that's good. I got that.
twinsies. Kevin, where can people find you?
X Reservation, Instagram, and Twitter.
And you can find me at Still Just Mike on Instagram and Twitter. You can find the podcast wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube at youtube.com/Pokésports. Check us out where you can find Pokésports, and we will see you in the next episode. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Smell you later.
Night.